And we are live. What's good, Josh, your man, DL Saint? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I really want to know podcast. Man, how y'all doing out there, man? Welcome to the evening edition. Yeah, we were on this morning. I'm getting my sleep thing under control. I'm getting my sleep thing under control, guys. So what I'm gonna start doing is forcing myself up. Um, getting up and do an early show and then just kind of rock the day out, maybe take a nap or something like that, like most old people do. But that's what I'm going to do, guys. So hopefully you'll see like a morning show and then maybe an afternoon show in the form of a DL short or something like that, and then maybe a evening show. But I want to do at least two a day. Um, and this is going into um school's gonna start here in about a month or so. So then I'll be, just kind of get myself ready and geared up for that schedule. When I have my daughter back, I'll have my university back, and I'll be even happier. But today, man, we're gonna have discussion, guys. We're gonna have the discussion. uh, you know, Men must have game, in my opinion. So we're gonna get out here and we're gonna have to talk. We got the last good man in Jersey in the building, and he just had a great mini vacation. Man, he had a great trip. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the dating game here in America versus the dating game abroad. This is going to be a good conversation, man. So without making you guys wait any longer, here he is, right here, the man, the myth, the legend, the last good man in Jersey, in the house. What's good, fam?
Hey, thanks for having me on again.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, bro. I really we had a real good conversation last time, man, and I can't wait to do some collabs in the future when we talk about um different options for young folks coming up, man. They say the job market is tricky, and they say it's getting trickier. Um, but you and I had some discussions about what corporate America has to offer,
Yeah.
and ways of getting in there. So I look forward to doing that. That's the show that I'm really looking forward and I'm excited to do, man. But man, how you doing, man? Tell everybody who you are and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know me, my name's Gene. I'm the last good man in Jersey. Live in Hoboken. I've been podcasting more regularly, let's say, for like the last 12 months. As far as the origins of my name, my idea started from a response to a lot of comments I was seeing about dating, where women were constantly saying there are no good guys left. And I thought, well, that's not true. I'm a good guy. Okay, so I'm going to call myself the last good man in Jersey. Use that to start a platform, and it's migrated. Really, I spend a lot of time just trying to help guys understand how to navigate the waters of today's dating game. There are a lot of things you can touch base on. Travel, exploring additional options being a big part of that. But it's kind of morphed. I love travel. I love a lot of things. I try to bring my passions to my stream, and that's me in a nutshell.
All right, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up, man. So and I definitely keep my eye on your platform, man. I try to jump on whenever I see you. And I suggest that everyone does that. Please, please, please go over and like and subscribe over there before the end of this show. Or if any of the mods could do it for me, I'm gonna pull up and make sure we drop the link to the Last Good Man Jersey YouTube channel to go over there and let's support the fellow Joes, man. So we're gonna have a good talk, man, because I know where I stand on this and I know where you stand on this, and this is gonna be a good
Yes.
conversation.
Looking
And
forward
I'm
to
look
it.
Yeah, me too, and I'm looking forward to seeing the comments as well. Brother Dino's in the house. What's good, fam? Evening DL and the last good man in Jersey. Let's see, DeSantis was on CNN tonight only because he is his run is going tits up. It should be interesting, or I'm sorry, entertaining, with him being so stiff. Bro, he ain't ready for prime time, man. You're absolutely right about that. He DeSantis and his his run for the presidency, yeah, bro. It's he done ran into a couple icebergs and is sinking fast, bro. Sinking fast. So we'll see how that goes. Any take on that, bro? I mean, we've never really talked about politics before, you and I.
I don't really get I don't get too caught up in kind of these interim steps because this is my take. I think really what things boil down to is how good is your PR department. If you've got good PR, you seem to be able to spin bad things into miracles, and if you don't, then you can't. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a Republican candidate, there's going to be a Democratic candidate, and America's going to vote. At least some of America's going to vote. I'm not going to be surprised at who the Republicans bring up, because we've seen that it could be crazy. You just, well, I can't predict how things are going to go. So I just wait and see. It's a little mini drama.
It definitely is a little mini drama. And the top of the Republican ticket is looking at another indictment. I haven't done anything on it yet. I will, though. I will definitely do it. If not late tonight, I'll do it tomorrow. Trump is looking at a possible indictment for the January 6th thing, which we all knew was coming. I don't like when people look at this like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, why not? Georgia's coming too. Let me go ahead and be the spoiler for y'all out there. You know what I mean? He's gonna have to answer for find me the votes in Georgia too, right? So all that's coming. We talked about it on this platform. I guess most people just don't think so, but we do over here.
But let me ask you this: would you be surprised if he's the Republican nominee?
I wouldn't be surprised. No, a lot of the real Republicans, I got friends, real Republicans, people out there who take it serious. A lot of people are saying that the true Republicans, the money and all that, they're just kind of, sitting back and letting this one go. They're looking at 2028. They've already, in other words, it's kind of like they've already conceded this election. If Trump is at the top of the ticket, all the Democrats are going to come out. And the fact that he'll be staring down some sort of sentence, because one of these cases will be winding down, you know what I mean? So he'll be staring down some time. And people keep saying, well, he'll win and he could be locked up and, he'll just, pardon himself or whatever it is. They talk about all this stuff. I think most Republicans are going to stay home. They're not going to vote Democrat. I think they'll stay home. And the ones who do come out and vote, I think they'll just skip over Trump. They're not going to vote for a convict, bro. Whether people want to believe it or not, Republicans still believe in law and order, even with all this talk about, defund the FBI and all this other kind of stuff. They still believe in law and order. Yeah, man, just the thought of, Biden, 4 more years of Biden, which is really going to be, at least 3 years of Kamala Harris. I'm not crazy about that idea, man. I'm not crazy about that idea. That's a head scratcher. But we're definitely going to cover that on Downrange Podcast, y'all. That's all I'm going to be talking about. But yeah, to answer your question, is I could see him, winning a nomination. And I could see him at the top of the ticket, and that'll be a great opportunity for the number 2 slot, those VP guys. Well, I'll be VP, and Trump gets locked up, and guess what? I'm president, whoever the VP may be. But I just don't see him winning an election, man. I just don't. What about you?
Here's what's hard. He barely lost last time. And unpopular opinion, but it's an opinion that I hold. If he told people to mail in their votes as opposed to show up at the polls, the big red wave, I think he'd be president right now. I think he realized that after the fact. But when I just look at the numbers and how close he was in a couple of key cities and how a couple of key cities could have literally turned the tide, it was a lot closer than a lot of people say. And if people aren't that enamored with Biden right now, I don't know that people are so much voting for a candidate in this election as they're voting against a candidate. So it's not really, am I for Trump? It's how much am I against Biden? That's going to drive somebody to cast their ballot. And that's where I think things get interesting, because I could see him winning, not because of him, but because people don't like Biden or don't like Kamala Harris. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins, but I don't know. This one's hard to predict.
This one's real hard to predict, man. This is like the Twilight Zone in real life, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Who knows what's gonna happen between now and November?
Yeah,
24. Who knows, bro? But like I said, people like drama, so here you go. You got plenty of drama. Brother Pitney's in the house, man. What's good, fam? It's like graduate streaming. Yes, sir. I'm back in it. Thanks for being there for me. Brother Dino's like DeSantis war on woke. Yeah, man. His whole strategy was just trash, man. I don't know what he's thinking. And here's the thing. We've been talking about this on this platform. Florida is on the precipice. Florida has just gone over the edge and it's falling now. So, and DeSantis is nowhere to be found. He's dodging questions about this whole insurance thing down here in Florida. This is hurricane season. Brother Rook says because of El Nino conditions, we might not get hit with some bad storms. But if we get hit with anything, any flooding, any whatever, there's no insurance here in this country, in this state. You got the whole thing with the fight with Disney, which he's lost. You got his fight against illegal immigration, which forced out a lot of the labor that's needed to get this state moving. He's done that, and then with this latest thing, when he got rid of forever alimony, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah,
that really hurt him with Republican female voters in the state. So DeSantis may have single-handedly handed over the state of Florida to the Democrats. This state might go blue in 2024. That's just something to think about, guys. I know we sounded like we're on Downrange Podcast right now, but I just want to get this out real quick. And my last thing I'll say about all that, as far as Trump winning, I just don't see an electoral college victory for him. I just don't see a pathway. I mean, you look at Nevada, you look at Arizona, you look at Georgia, you look at Florida, you look at the blue wall. I don't see it. You know what I mean? But what do I know? But I'm just saying, I don't see it. But hey, man,
jump on one of your Downrange podcasts. Because if we go through the last electoral map, it is a lot closer than some people realize. So
we definitely, and that'll be a show, man. That'll be a good show. We definitely got to see it. But again, with this, it depends on where America is and what's going on in the world. There's so many factors, bro. I don't know, man. And if Biden were to kick the bucket between now and then, oh my God, what then? Who would step up and all that kind of stuff? You know what I mean? Sister Candace in the building. What's good, sis? Good evening to you. Thanks for coming through. We got my knights in the building. Brother Jack's here. What's good, fam? Red Pill going crazy right now. Yeah. Red Pill is out of control right now. Brother Dino, for the blood pressure, add ginger and cinnamon too to my diet. Okay, I'll give it a shot. Thank you, Sister Candace, for dropping the link. Now we know where to find you. Please go check it out. Let's support the brother. It's hard. These YouTube things, man, this stuff ain't easy. But it's fun. It's challenging. But it is not easy. Sister Candace says we didn't see him winning the first time. Facts. It's facts. And Brother Dino, see now, this is the last thing we're gonna say about this, but Brother Dino is right. 6 million votes ain't close, and Hillary beat him by 3 million. We're gonna talk about that on Downrange Podcast. Dude, give me like 3 or 4 days.
That's the popular vote. That's not the electoral college. Those are different.
Right. The electoral college is what matters. If it were about the popular votes, you wouldn't have a Republican in office probably ever again until the Republicans changed everything up. You know what I mean? They're just not popular. But with the masses here, not until people get older, right? Young people don't care about money. But as you get older, you tend to be more Republican. Like, hey, what's going on here? Why y'all taking all this? Why y'all taking all that? So we'll get into that. So, all right, here we go. You know what I mean? Let's get into what people came here for today, man. Brother Gene, man, here's the deal. You must have game, bro. Period, hands down. I don't care where you are on planet Earth. If you're a male, right, and you out here trying to get you a female, you must have game. You must have knowledge and understanding of how it works. Your opinion is different.
Very. But before we do that, let me kind of set up a conversation for everybody so that you understand my perspective. I was on, I would guess, about a month ago. And I talked about travel and some of the travel that I had done in my past. Mentioned that I wanted to do some more travel. In particular, I was talking about the trip I made to Indonesia and Bali, and how when I was in Bali, I didn't really feel like I needed any game because the women were going to approach me. I just needed to be available. Well, now I'm back in country for a week now because I spent 2 weeks in the Philippines. More specifically, I was in Cebu, in and around Cebu. But I just wanted to get out there and see what Cebu was all about. I would say going back to like January of this year, Cebu really popped on my radar. I heard people talking about it and kind of sounded too good to be true. It was everything to everyone. If you were old, it was a great place to retire. If you were young, it was a great place to party. If you were middle-aged, it was a great place to kind of get a second start. I wanted to know, is it as beautiful as they say? Is it as happy and easygoing as they say? Are the women as beautiful and approachable as they say? I went and I saw it, and I've got to say that it scored on pretty much all marks. It was an amazing experience. I did things that I would have never tried anyplace else. My background is an image of me in the Strait of Cebu, whale shark diving, which was something I normally wouldn't have done, but I didn't realize I was an adrenaline junkie until I stepped up and did it. And more specifically to the women there, it is a very different dating experience. And if you're coming from the West and you've never been there before, it's really hard to put into words just how different it is. It's a bizarro world to someone who's always grown up dating in the States, where things don't work at all like you would expect. Now we're going to build to the story of game, but here's what I'll say. Women generally date, based on hypergamy. I think a lot of people have kind of bought into that. They want you to be more successful, taller, handsome. When you're in the Philippines, you are successful, taller, and handsome. And you will suddenly find your experience on the dating market so much different, because the women are looking for you. And all you've got to do is be willing to have a conversation with them.
Well, let's start right there. Let me pause you right there. Say zero game. So let me pause you right there, because I mean this is really good. This is really good stuff, because I've never been to the Philippines. It is definitely on my go-to list. I just haven't been able to work it out.
Start in Cebu.
Well, okay. So, and I'm hearing what you're saying. So before we get into the dating part, you're saying it's just a great move for those who can get away from America. Like, even if, like you said, if you're middle class, you want a fresh start, I guess financially, this is a really good move. So let's talk about the strength of the dollar there, man. Like, how strong is the dollar in Cebu, in the Philippines? I mean, I know the answer to this, but I want to get it to you.
Yeah.
And before you go, Sister Kansas, thank you for the $10 super sticker. I truly appreciate it. You know what I mean? Because every dollar goes to cognac and strippers. Y'all know what it is. I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just kidding. But that's for you, sis. So let's talk about the financial incentive to go to the Philippines.
Okay. Let's start in close, and then we'll pull it out. Sister Candace just super chatted you a day's wage in the Philippines.
A day's wage.
Yeah. The Filipino wage, with rounding. Let's say in the Philippines, start looking at the chat. Let's say in the Philippines, the average annual wage is about $6,000 a year, US. Now you have to adjust that, because that's peanuts compared to what we make, but their costs are a lot lower.
Well, let's make it realistic instead of just talking numbers. What does it mean in real life to make $6,000 a year in the Philippines?
So let's say that $6,000 a year in the Philippines is probably in the vicinity of like $30,000 a year in the US, in Middle America. The costs are peanuts out there. When I went to the Philippines, let me give you a couple of things that you'll experience, just so that you can start to get perspective. You're in the Philippines and you want to get someplace, and you're probably going to take the jeepneys, which is just this series of vans that are driving around. The cost to get from one place to the other on a jeepney is probably $0.25. If you want to take the bus, the cost for you to take a 3-hour bus ride is probably $3. And that's if you get on the nice bus with the air conditioning and the cool shocks. If you want the cheap bus where you open the windows, it's $2. For some people in the Philippines, that makes a difference. I was living high on the hog when I was there, because I was on vacation and I didn't care. I would go, there's IT Park in the middle of Cebu, where you've got these open eateries, live bands, live music. I was there. I was there with a friend of mine named Lynn. I would go out, get my meal, her meal, get myself a nice 1-liter beer, and I'd spend $8. And that was getting something nice. You can go there and you can live like a prince. A prince, if you're making $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year US, yeah, you're making $40,000 a year US over there. You're living in the nicest part of town. You're eating out every night. You are living comfortably and you are rich compared to the average Filipino over there. It's as simple as saying if you move, you are set. If you stay, well, you're a regular income person. And part of what you see on the retirement front, there are a lot of expats who basically move to the Philippines because maybe their retirement savings isn't huge, but they've realized that if they go to the Philippines, their retirement savings can carry them to the end of their life easily. You can literally just kick back and enjoy yourself and your money when you're there.
So if you're retired and let's say you've already said if you're making anywhere $30,000, you're like top tier. Just on their scale, you're top tier. So let's say you're retired, you're making about $20,000 a year, and you have $100,000 in retirement. How long will you be able to last out there?
Your life.
Wow.
If you have $1,000 a month coming in, you're set for life. You don't need another dime, and you're fine. Now, with only $1,000 coming in and nothing else, you're not living like the prince. That's $12,000. But again, for perspective, the average Filipino is making about $6,000 US. If you're making $12,000 US, you're making twice as much as the average Filipino. So for perspective, in the US, where the average income is like for a guy, it's about $50,000 a year. Okay, you're a $100,000 a year guy by US standards. Just port that over to the Philippines. That's the caliber of life you can live.
So you're in the top 15 percentile over there, making
easily.
Wow, and that's not even counting the $100,000 cash that you have sitting over there doing whatever it's doing.
That's just your monthly income.
Wow.
One of the things I talked about, because this was like one of my hidden motivations for understanding the Philippines. So I have a cousin who is not. He's going to have a hard time in the dating market in the U.S. He's a good guy. He's shorter than average. He's a little overweight. He makes a little bit less money than average. He's a normal looking guy. He doesn't stand out in any way. Here in the U.S., he struggles with dating because there's too much competition. If he was in the Philippines, he'd be a prince. Women would be flocking to him because he's taller than them, he's richer than them, and he's exotic. So he's attractive. This specifically for Americans, but also for, Black men. I want you to understand something. I went to the Philippines. I was there for 2 weeks. I saw tens of thousands of people. The whole time I was there, maybe I saw 6 or 7 Black people, maybe. And half of them were like half Black, half Filipino. So when you're there, you are extremely exotic. They don't see people like us all the time. And everywhere you go, people are interested in taking a look at you and wanting to know what's going on with you. They're curious because they don't see it that much.
That is a really good point. I mean, I've experienced that in China, but it's just the curiosity factor. Not so much in South Korea because of the military presence. Same with Japan, but China, bro, they were truly looking at me like I was an alien, man. I just walked out of a spaceship. I did not experience that, or I've never experienced that in Central or South America because I kind of look like I could be Panamanian. I could be whatever. So I guess the further away you get from the shores of the U.S., the more exotic you look. That's funny because they come here and experience the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Because it's like, ooh, look at that, that fine old, Filipina over there, or not so much with the men because they tend to be shorter. So they're in that lower tier in the dating world. All right, that's okay. I'm with you, and I wanted to catch up with the chat a little bit. This is going to be a good one, guys. So I probably won't show all of the chats, but Brother Pitney was like, "Yeah, last good man Jersey." He's describing what he's describing is effectively geomaxing. Yeah. Especially now with remote work. If you are making that money, why not geomax? You feel me? Like, why not do it? Brother Jose's in the building, bro. What is good, fam? How you feeling? Always a pleasure to see you. Yes, please like and subscribe. And brother Chris Smoky Hat is also in the building, man, with the $5 super chat, man.
Holla.
Oops, wrong button. $5 super chat, man. What's good? What's good? I appreciate you, man. Good evening, DL Gas in the chat. Happy to be here. Jamaican stand up, man. That's what's up, man. I see y'all, bro. That's, man, look, I love hanging around Jamaicans, man. Y'all get crazy, bro. And then the more rum y'all drink, the less I can understand y'all, bro. It is hilarious, bro. I learned all these good words. But I can't get out with my Jamaican friends, with my roster buddies. So shout out to you, bro. Shout out to everybody who's in here. And I appreciate you guys so much, man. So, all right. So going to the Philippines as a below average man, and let's just keep it 100. Like you're saying average. You're saying your man is like short, not that attractive. I'm assuming socially maybe not that good at just breaking the ice, and he doesn't have that gift of vocab, but he touches down over there, and then bam,
he's a prince.
He's a prince right off rip. So when you say women just come up to you, right away, you know what I mean? Like my ghetto sense starts tingling. Like, why are you over here, shorty? Like, because to me, like beautiful women start flocking to me right away. I'm thinking like, oh, this might be a problem. But you're saying they're coming over simply because they're intrigued. So what's your take on that?
So, all right. This goes back to part of what I'm doing is figuring out how to frame it up for you, because you still look at the world through a Western lens. If you haven't seen it, some of it's hard to grasp because you're so used to a certain way of interact. So I kind of thought about this for a second. So let's say this: Devin Booker, NBA player. He can walk into pretty much any club, any bar, any location. Women are interested in him. Why? He's tall. He's successful. He's got a whole lot of clout simply because of who he is. Doesn't ever have to open his mouth. They know he's rich. A foreigner, especially an American, over in the Philippines, it's still hypergamy. Here's a guy who's tall and rich by their standards, and he's unique. A black guy who they see maybe once a week. Yeah, you got everything you need to have women want to walk up to you and start a conversation. Well, they didn't. Well, actually, some of them did. Women will give you what I've heard is choosing signals. And this is a funny thing. So let me frame this up. So I was there with Lynn, and Lynn and I were kind of hanging out. The whole time I was there, we were pretty much, running around, Bonnie and Clyde, having a great time.
Yeah, chasing shark whales and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about that, too. That was a blast. Occasionally, we'd be in different spots. Like, we were going through this mall. She went window shopping on something, and I was, like, buying something to eat. So I'm by myself temporarily. All of a sudden, young, exotic, to me, exotic-looking women are walking by me, looking directly at me and smiling at me, basically telling me they're interested and they want me to shoot my shot. All I had to do was say hi, and I could have gotten into some conversations.
And you realize this just by being there. Like, okay, this is what it is. Like, oh, she's over here, like you said, choosing signals. She's looking at me. Yes. She's putting herself in your orbit. All right,
and I'm just standing there.
So your game told you she bout it.
I wouldn't even say it was game, because
come on, it's awareness, bro. That's game. That's what it is. Come on now.
If you can't tell that someone walking up, staring at you and smiling at you is interested, then I don't know what to do. I mean, I will. And I knew we were going to get into this, so I'm going to tell you right now.
Count it like I said.
I'm going to separate two things out for the purposes of this conversation. How it's going to go. Okay. There's game, and then there's common sense. You need common sense. You see somebody looking at you, smiling at you, basically looking for you to say hi. Yeah, you need enough common sense to say, okay, I'm going to say hi. She's clearly interested. But when I think of game, I think of your ability to generate interest. So I'm a normal guy, but I've got something that I can use to actually encourage someone to be interested in me. I'm funny. I'm clever. I've got something that I'm working with that causes you to say, oh, let me pay a little bit more attention here than I normally would. Common sense, yeah, you got to have that. Game, Like, case in point, this was an interesting example. As an aside, age gap dating is a real thing in the Philippines. Age is just a number out there. They don't care how old you are. You got young women with old guys, and it's not strictly them after the guy's money. They just don't see age as a big factor. They see your mobility as a factor, but not your age.
So they're more interested in the individual than they are the fact that he has money, because, I mean, okay, they know, okay, this is a foreigner, so ergo this foreigner probably has more than the average Filipino. However,
Yes.
I'm just not going to be with him because he's a foreigner. I like something about this old dude. Like, I like the gray hair. I like the funny walk or whatever. And you saying that that's really how they get down?
Yes. In the Philippines, this is dating over there. It's bizarro world. Women look for guys. Well, this is my take. I think there are a couple of things going on. There's actually a lot. One is women over there, they're not going through hot girl summers and 304 phases. They've got more of a desire to date with an end goal in mind. They want a husband, they want a family, they want to be a wife and a mother. That's their culture. Young guys over there are doing what young guys do, trying to run around and smash. So there are a lot of women who are young who don't want to deal with the young guys because the young guys aren't serious. They see a guy with a dad bod and some gray hair, and they're saying, this is a guy who's more serious. This guy doesn't want to play around and just date and hit and run anything he can find. This is the kind of guy I'm interested in. That's more common over there than hot girl summer. And you start to see that, you're like, wait a minute. Okay, as an older guy, this is my playground. All you young guys are trying to work. I just sit back and chill.
So even women with that mindset, they have to be aware that even though he has the dad bod, he might be there on the sex trip. He might just be, I'm gonna hit it while I'm here and then be gone. They understand that. They understand that they're taking that chance.
They know the risks, but I think what they're doing is they're weighing the risks. So, the old guys can be out there just to party same way the young guys can. It's more probability. Much higher probability that young guy is just there looking for fun. The older guy there's a higher chance that with the older guys, they're looking for something serious, which is what the locals are looking for.
And okay. And Brother Penny makes a good point. He says over time, he's noticed that men don't consider reading social cues game. I do. I when I talk about game, I'm talking about complete awareness of everything, like knowing where you are, knowing that women, generally are looking for someone who's going to be able to take care of them, that can provide stability and resources no matter where you are. At least going in, like these women are gamed up to the sense they're like, well, this old guy, he could be just trying to smash, but it's a good chance he's just looking for a good woman, and I'm going to go ahead and try to get into that slot. So that's game to me. And then if she finds out that he's just a player, she ain't gonna cry about it. She's like, all right, he got me. But the next one hopefully will be better. That's game.
Now, see, I'm gonna turn that on its head a little bit, because what I'm gonna say is that's game on the women's side. The women need more, women over there need more game, in particular if they're trying to go after foreigners. I mean, let's face it. I saw a handful of black guys when I was there. There are Filipinos who very specifically like black men. There's Filipinos who very specifically like white men. If they see you and you're one of the few, they are going to take an active interest in trying to get your attention. They've got to compete for you. You don't have to compete for them. So my cousin, the shorter, slightly overweight, lower income guy, he can be sitting on a park bench, clueless to what's going on around him. Woman might sit right next to him and just start chatting him up. And he might get finessed, but that goes back more to common sense. Like, you might get finessed. You might find yourself with the love of your life. You never know.
You might find yourself with the love of the weekend. You never know. And that's my whole point. Even your people has to have a certain level of awareness in order to be successful. And I call that game, because you can have a guy who really doesn't know what's going on could be finessed by a woman who's not even trying to finesse him. He's just, let me buy this, let me buy that, here it is. He just wants to sit there and talk because he doesn't have that sexual experience. He's not inclined. He's not gamed up. And I won't even look at that as an L for him or a win for her necessarily. In fact, it might be a loss for her because she may in fact really want him. So lack of game will keep him from the ultimate goal, which is securing a woman who loves, honors, and respects you, because he didn't have that enough game to realize that this was the one. So you see what I'm saying? So that knowledge is what I consider all that game. Because I know a lot of people hear game, they're like, well, everybody ain't a player. No, you don't have to be a player with your game, but you have to be aware.
And we're gonna keep pushing on this. So let's let's delve deeper. Now, there's the question: does game help? Absolutely, game helps. But to the core issue, do you need it over there? No. If my cousin's goal is he wants a wife, he wants some kids of his own, he wants to be able to retire comfortably. Does he need any game at all to get that over there? Absolutely not. All right. This was an interesting situation I found myself in. So when I was whale shark diving, there's a 2-hour wait before you can dive in there and adventure, because everybody just swarms that place.
What do they call it? They call it the fish food weekend. What do they call that?
No, that's just whale shark. They call it adventuring.
They call it adventuring because you are the fish food jumping in there with those big ass fish. But go ahead.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. You need to try it. So there was, we were waiting, and Lynn went down to the water because it was it was hot and humid. She wanted to cool off while we were waiting, and I was like on my phone trying to shoot some footage to post to my YouTube. So I'm by myself on this bench. This girl comes and sits down next to me. And she's like 18 or 19, something like that. She worked at the souvenir shop that was behind me. And she says hi, and I just look at her, say hi. I got this tour guide who's next to me. I don't know exactly the words she said because she said it in Visayan, like the local Cebu language. But I could tell that what she was telling the girl was, leave this guy alone. He's there with that woman who's down in the water. And the girl looked and she popped up like, oh, okay, I didn't know. And she goes right back to her souvenir shop. She's an attractive, 19 is too young for me, but she's an attractive 19-year-old who says, ooh, here's a foreigner. I'm going to go shoot my shot at him. I didn't need a lick of game. If I wanted a 19-year-old, yeah, she was standing right there. Okay, actually, so that was an example of what you can experience just every day without even trying. In a separate note, if anybody's going to Cebu, fellas, if anybody's going to Cebu, in IT Park, Ayala Mall, there's a Foot Locker. There is a stone cold baddie who works in there who will make your eyes pop out of your head. And she works at Foot Locker. I was there with Lynn because I was looking for some flip-flops. I didn't pack my flip-flops. That's a problem. I have big old feet. So trying to find some flip-flops in Cebu where people are a lot shorter than you, they don't have big sizes of shoes. I was like, okay, this just isn't going to work. But we're in this Foot Locker, and I'm with Lynn. And this woman who was a stone cold baddie, kind of cracks this joke. It surprised me because I was standing right there with Lynn. She was kind of opening the door for more of a casual conversation. And I thought, wow, okay. I like to think I've got some ability here, but you're a 9, and I'm not used to seeing 9s trying to work to get my attention. That's not how things work in the West. In the West, 9s have pretty privilege and they know it, and they exude that everywhere they go. It's a whole different world over there where the easygoing good guy can win. But you got to get over there to see it.
And again, I'm looking at it from the other side, right? So I will concede that that's the way it is today, right? 7/18/2023, that's the way it is today. That's not how it's going to be tomorrow. the world is getting smaller. Yeah, America's about to go through a little bit of not a little bit. America's about to get kicked in the balls recession wise. A lot of Americans are going to get hurt, but within 18 to 24 months, they'll be back and they'll be traveling. The world's going to get smaller. You must have that game to like the stuff that you realize, and being socially aware is part of that. You're like, man, this chick right here. Wow, this is indeed a beautiful young woman. She's trying to get at me. She doesn't even seem to care that I'm with somebody, right? Like she bout it. Like this young woman is bout it, working at a Foot Locker, right? And a side note, if you're ever in Medellin, Colombia, right, there's a mall called the El Dorado Mall, right? Not too far from Parque Los Aires, right? Everyone knows where it is. Go to El Dorado Mall. There's a McDonald's in there, packed full of dimes, right? They're all in there. Dimes. I'm just here to tell you, bro. I had my man Perry Davis on here. We were talking about that. My first trip to Medellin, my feet were dangling out of the window because I'm in there trying to holler at Shorty with my broken Spanish. Perry was laughing his ass off. But beautiful women are coming.
That's
real talk. Beautiful women are coming. But the thing is, the world is getting smaller with YouTube and all these other things going on. You're gonna have game. So your game told you off rip, like, look, you knew, like, man, I could probably, if you wanted to, you could have ran a little bit at little Shorty, or more to the point, let her run her game on you.
Yes.
Right. You could have got that number, and I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna DM you, and your girl wouldn't have known. And, you could have hit little Shorty up and she'd have came through and did what you were expecting. But I'm pretty sure she'd have been trying to extract some resources, probably knowing like, look, he ain't going to leave his woman, but, we're going to have some grown up fun and I'm going to get something out of it. Cause she can get, how far would $100 go for
over there?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't spend nearly as much cash. Well, one thing, let me just jump. I didn't spend nearly as much cash over there as I thought because things were so cheap. I was tipping people like $2, and Lynn was telling me like, "What are you, Daddy Warbucks?" Like,
right? Because everybody's doing one of these like $2. Thank you. Like, here's some extra stuff.
Like, oh, I'm a big spender. I'm like a big spender. I didn't know. You quickly adjust to the prices over there, but I mean, when I first got there, like second day I was there was this guy, he was American, and he was walking by me and he was complaining because he knew I could relate. He was complaining about having to take a $5 Grab someplace. Grab is their version of Uber. Like, I got to spend $5 on this Grab. I can't believe it. I'm like, $5? Why do you care? But after a few days of $3 Grab, $4 Grab, I got a $5 Grab, and that was the same guy. Like, what the hell they mean $5? And it shouldn't be $5.
You see how fast you adjust?
Like that.
You see how fast you adjusted, bro.
You just loaded somebody up if you give them $20. I was in the one thing I did that it was funny. I was in Bohol, and Bohol is the only place I was in where they didn't take credit cards most places, so it's kind of annoying. And I had some money, I had to exchange it. We went to this money exchange, and they said, how much do you want? I'm like, give me $50 because I'm gonna go hit up a couple of different things. I want to have enough cash to cover it. When the woman heard me say $50, she said, "Protect your wallet." It's like, whoa, like you're just saying out loud you want $50 in cash? Like, are you crazy? I thought, apparently so, because I didn't think that was much money.
She's like, check your neck, son. Yeah. They're gonna run you, son.
So
her New York came out. Yo, son, yo, B, what do you mean 50?
So just think $100. I don't know. Multiply that by 10. That's like $1,000 maybe, just in casual spending money. If you're talking something like that.
So here's a young girl who's beautiful. She knows it. I would argue that that's her game. I would argue that that's her game. That maybe she's come up on that. Maybe she's like, yo, this dude might drop $100 and might not even want to do nothing. There are dudes out there who would drop $100 just to. So, we'll see.
But all right. The beautiful, and she knows it. Let's say, okay, she's beautiful. I don't know if she knows how hot she is because she's over there. There are a lot of women over there who look like her. A whole lot of women. They're not all working at Foot Locker. You see them walking up and down the street. If you want somebody, where they are, when they are, Yeah, I know where she is when she is. She's a baddie, and she was working it. She was trying to work me. When you're there, that exotic piece really kicks in. You are suddenly looking at a whole lot of women who are just interesting to you, but who are also interested in you, and it's everywhere you go. It's really hard to appreciate what it's like. Right? You hear people talking about being Chads and Tyrones. Like, oh wow, I was walking around. And I thought, I'm a Chad and a Tyrone today.
Yeah.
I'm in the mall. I'm taller than everybody else. I'm richer than most of the people who are here, and I'm the only black guy in the whole mall. So anybody who's looking for a black dude, I'm the one who they're looking at. All I got to do is stand. I can literally stand in the middle of the mall, eating some French fries and drinking a soda, and that's all the work I got to do.
Yeah, you're definitely top tier. But a lack of game in that situation could be detrimental to you in many ways. I'm not saying like I said, I don't think you're gonna wind up, in the bathroom missing a kidney. But I mean, it could happen in certain parts of the world. I think if you don't have game, you're gonna hurt yourself. And having that game, having that knowledge, having that understanding can help you secure the woman that you want. And I think that, for a lot of guys, like the example we're using, your guy who, your man over here who's invisible, he goes over there. And now not only is he visible, but he's like top tier. Not having game could hurt him because he might wind up with a woman he just thinks is pretty. I got the prettiest, I got the prettiest girl in the shop, but the prettiest girl might not be what's really needed for him. He might need this woman over here who's maybe like a 7 or something like that over there, but she's better for him and she's going to help 1000x him, and he won't know the difference because he's not gamed up. That's my whole point. To me, game is not just so you can go out here and smash a bunch of chicks. Game is so you can accomplish your mission, whatever your mission is.
But now let's think about that. Because this is the debate we knew we were going to have.
We was going to have this debate. So hold that thought for 1 second. Brother Pitney is saying, as the dating market becomes more globalized, I doubt these pockets of refuge for average men with no game will continue to exist. I think there'll always be pockets, but I agree with you, brother. The world is catching up to these pockets. And then I believe it really falls to the culture. So long as the culture remains strong in these pockets, I think it'll be okay for average men. Because remember, especially in this example we're using over here in the Philippines, once you get there, you're already above average just based on your height, based on your income. Think about that. A dude over here who's a real brokey, a guy over here is making $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year, goes over there and he is, middle class, maybe upper middle class just by landing there. That changes your game. We got Brother Rook up in the piece, man. He caught 2 shows today. He was like caught 2 episodes in one day. Yeah, Rook. Hey, man, you get any more followers, bro? You get anybody come over there and sub to the channel? Hey, y'all, make sure y'all go over and check out Brother Rook's channel. You want to talk about exotic travel, and man, bro, I'm trying to talk Rook into having like maybe do one big trip a year. And man, the way he travels is I mean, you talk about swimming with whale sharks or whatever. I'm pretty sure Rook's has some stories of doing some craziness out there. But that's my guy, man. Shout out to him. Brother Chris Smoky Hat, the guest speaker is right. I remember how deployments to the Indonesian Pacific were fun for guys who were let's say a 5 in the States. When the ships hit ports, these guys became 10s. Yes. Yeah. And Sister Candace, like my husband and I were in Mexico and we tipped our waiter $40. Wow. And he damn near started crying. It was very gracious. It is refreshing to see that people are grateful for things we take for granted. Facts. So we got XFO in the house. Also, we got G Complex in the building. That was for you too, bro. Matter of fact, you get your own home shot, man. G Complex in the building. That's my road dog, man. He's coming out. He's holding it down in Texas. I'm holding it down in Florida, and we always meet up in Miami. And he was out here in Tampa, as a matter of fact, man. He had a good time. Sound like these women are dating with intention.
Yes.
And that's part of the culture, I was saying. So okay, so go ahead. You wanted to make your point.
Oh, so let's come back to game. Now, there's 2 different questions to think about, because one is, again, does game help? And the other is game necessary? You brought up the point about what's your mission. If your mission is to go out there and find yourself a 5 who's going to be loyal and loving and supportive, if that's your mission, You don't need to drop a game to do that. Now, can game help you to realize that, you know what? I'm over here aiming at a 5. I should be aiming at a 10. Sure. It can help you enhance your experience, but you kind of need to get over there before you realize what that is. And if you go in with the goal of, I want a 5, I want someone who's nice and a 5, yeah, you can't miss, and you cannot miss in Cebu unless you just don't have common sense. There are two, let me take that back. If all you want to do is chase baddies, yeah, you might get finessed because you got, a pretty face and some curves, and that's all you're seeing. You might get finessed. Even in that instance, you're not going to get finessed for that much because you can take her to Sugbo Mikado, spend $10, give her the night of her life, and you're like, okay, if getting finessed was a $10 dinner and drinks, you can finesse me all night long because that's not going to hurt me one bit.
Wow, because we were talking about Thailand earlier today, and Brother Rook was saying, like, in Thailand, man, he was like, for $25, you can have a real high-end meal with drinks and everything. And, and I was telling folks, I'm like, yeah, so if you want to do something like top shelf, the best meal you can buy in this area here in the Philippines, how much is that going to cost you for dinner for 2? Drinks, dessert, the whole 9.
Okay. So I didn't go fine dining, but I did go one step up from kind of local dining. But again, goes back to IT Park because it's a hot spot. The 2 places with live music are Sugbo Mercado, which I personally like because I prefer that. It's bigger, it's more active. You got like 50 little shops that you can buy food in. So you can go there every day of the week and get something different. And then there's this other indoor bar called Park Social. Park Social is more Western. They've got kind of more Western food. You can get burgers and beers and Heinekens and all that stuff. If I go to Sugbo Mercado, I'm going to spend $10 and I'm going to, that's dinner for 2 with drinks. If I go to Park Social, it's closer to US prices. So I might spend $25. That's dinner for 2 at an indoor place with a formal band and drinks. And that's a nice experience. Frankly, if you've got your Filipina with you, she's probably going to like Sugbo Mercado more just because of the way it feels. But if you want to kind of show off, yeah, take her to Park Social. Instead of spending $10, spend $25. Whoop-de-doo. It's very hard for you to put a dent in your wallet. You have to hunt for places with ridiculous pricing. I went to an kind of a Western coffee shop every morning because I just liked their coffee. I didn't feel like messing around with my coffee. Like, nope, I want to know that my coffee is going to work. I'm going here every day. Me, Lynn would go there every morning. I get something, she gets something. We both get coffees. It was $11. 2 breakfasts, 2 coffees, $11. That's living high on the hog at a coffee shop that most people aren't going to walk into. I could have gone someplace and spent $3. Got coffee and breakfast for both of us. It's something that's more local. I just didn't want to. You can go cheap, you can go expensive, but it's really hard to put a dent in your wallet unless you just desperately look for something that's crazy expensive.
Wow. All right. So, and see, and hearing this, because, people like to talk about Colombia and, of all the places I travel, Colombia is certainly the cheapest. Hands down, not even close. Again, I haven't been to the Philippines yet. I haven't been to Thailand yet. I haven't been to the Golden Triangle, which I know the dollar is really strong over there. But, bro, when I hear this, now I get where you're coming from. You're saying, so if a guy comes over and he's a complete moron, right? He's just the sweetest moron ever. He is 100% Forrest Gump. He's that guy. Life is like a box of chocolates. That dude, he's not going to get when he gets his pockets ran, it's not going to hurt is what I'm hearing.
Right.
It's like, well, they might get him total for the whole week trip. He might have lost $100 on chicks. They're all happy. They all got like 10 or $20 each. And he's happy because he got to do some stuff and they touched Mr. No or whatever, and he's back into America. That's the worst. Whereas in Colombia, a woman can run you for everything in your safe. Like, she'll get you back into your hotel room, drug you. If you don't know what you're doing, she'll take everything out your safe if it's open. Depending on what hotel you're staying in and stuff like that. If you don't have real security measures, you can lose big. So all right. So I hear you.
I think part of what you have to keep in mind, and this is why I say if you haven't been there, it's kind of hard to really put into perspective the difference. I think more guys go to Colombia just to have fun. Colombia is a place where you're going to smash, it's an in and out, and the women know that, and they're kind of catering to guys who are just coming there to hit and run.
You know, be real quick though, there is, well, I haven't been in a while, but there was some of that. Most of the guys that I knew that went to Colombia, they were going to fall in love, bro. They would go down there with the intent, I'm gonna go down here and smash something. But every single trip, you know, when I went with friends or met up with friends down there, they fell in love, man. It was the funniest thing in the world to watch. These guys like coming down here, yeah, I'm gonna bang this and bang, I'm gonna have threesomes and this and that. First woman they get with, the first woman they meet, that's my girl, that's my babe. They walking around, arm around and everything, introducing her. Yeah, babe, we're gonna bring you back to America. Like, bro, you live in a studio, man. Like, when you gonna bring her back to America? But they really fall in love, man. But the dudes who got game, the guys who are truly gamed up, dudes who run rotations, nah, they down there just to have fun. That's what they do. Someone like me, I go down there and I'm just chilling. Yeah, I'm gonna have 2 or 3 times, but I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm doing that. I'm doing the grown-up stuff, but I ain't in love with nobody, man. So that I just wanted to throw that in there. Not all these guys really doing that.
Yeah, here's what I will say though, because this is where it gets tricky. Because I agree that their mode of operating once they're there may change, but when I look at the guys who are going to Colombia and I look at how they advertise what they're looking for, they're always posting pics of baddies. It's always, look at these women and how hot they are. Look at these women in these bikinis and all these curves and all these smiles, and I'm having a great time. And it's sex tourism. And I'm not knocking anybody for it. I'm just saying, when I see the guys who are going there, what they seem to be advertising is, I'm going there to smash a whole bunch of baddies. When I look at the guys who are advertising like the Philippines or Thailand, those guys are talking about the woman they met. And it's, hey, look at this woman who I'm with. Look at this woman who I just got married to. Let me talk to you about the caliber of woman I've been able to find to wife up or to lock down. I see guys posting pics of baddies in the Philippines too. But more guys are posting pics of the relationships they're able to build when they're talking about the Philippines than when they're talking about kind of the DR and Colombia and all of that. I don't doubt that they find them when they're there, but it doesn't seem to be what they're going down there looking for. And I bring that up because kind of to use your Forrest Gump example, yeah, you can be Forrest Gump in the Philippines and you're a little bit insulated because the women there are looking for husbands. There's a podcaster, Sunshine Shoulders. He was talking about this phenomenon in the Philippines. This is what Filipina finessing looks like. They've got this thing. I think they call it 4Gs or 4Bs, something like that. The moral of the story is there are women in the Philippines who are looking for guys who are rich, single, interested, and not going to live that long. So they're looking for guys to finesse for money. But here's what their finessing looks like. They marry the guy, take care of him until he dies, and then they collect an inheritance that they use for stage 2 of their life. So even their finessing is not, how do I empty his pockets? It's, how do I marry this guy so that when he dies, I'm on the will? If you're that guy, you're going to live 10 years. You're like, you know what? What do I care? I got a 22-year-old hottie taking care of me for the last 10 years of my life, and all I got to do is write her into the will. I would have written my wife into the will anyway. Like, that's a fair trade. I can deal with that.
Wow. I never thought of it that way.
Whole different world.
I never thought of it that way. And, when you talk about, Central and South America, and when you're talking about Eastern Europe, yeah, the finesse is devastating to a lot of guys. The finesse is, let me get back to the States and use that legal system to extract as much as I possibly can, and the state's going to take it from him and give it to me. You're saying the finesse over there is, I'm going to be his wife. I know he's not going to outlive me. So I'm going to be with him and give him the best 10 or 15 years, take care of him until he dies. He takes care of me. And like you said, my second stage of life, not only can I help myself, but I can help my family. And if I have any kids. So she's like, I'm all in to be the wife, and I'm going to be here until death do us part.
Yes. That's their finesse. Now, don't get me wrong. You can go online, but here's the thing I'll say to people. You can go online and you can find a couple of stories of guys who are saying they got finessed in the Philippines. But when you look at the stories, it's always something where it's like, you didn't really get finessed. You're just dumb. You don't have common sense.
Or he doesn't have any game. But continue.
I'm going to go back to common sense because I'm going to say, if you've never met a woman and you buy her a house telling her, live here and I'm going to be there in 6 months and we'll see each other. You're like, you never met her and you bought her a house and you expected her to sit around loyal to you when she didn't have to. Well, okay, that's just you being stupid. That's all that is. You need enough common sense to know that that's a bad idea. It's very hard to get devastated in the Philippines simply because of the way they approach dating, because of the way they approach finessing. It was kind of funny. There was one woman I saw. I was in the mall with Lynn. There's this guy. I would guess, he's a tall guy, probably 75. Big beer belly, the whole thing. He's with this young hottie. She's like late 20s, gorgeous. But I didn't really like her because, she was dressed to the nines. She had the makeup on. A lot of the Filipinos, they're not wearing makeup. They're just walking around all natural.
So this woman was pretty much westernized, sounds like. She was on that.
Yes. And I found that unappealing. I'm like, ooh, I don't like this. I've gotten used to all these all natural women. You look too done up. This is a costume. It's not attractive. She saw me with Lynn. And I could tell what was going through her head because the guy was, they were walking, holding hands. He was kind of leading her. She's giving me looks. I think what she was looking at is saying, I look better than the woman you're with. Why don't you shoot your shot at me? You can see who I'm with. I would happily trade up to you. But I thought, nah, you have no idea. Like, you don't understand how I choose. Like, you think you're more appealing to me than Lynn because you have no idea what Lynn is. You don't hold a candle to her.
But that's your game. Again, you are gamed up, bro. You just don't want to acknowledge it. You are gamed up. A guy with no game would see that and would immediately allow that other woman, that westernized Filipina, to monkey branch over to him. And now he's got problems. And the other dude, the fat dude, will probably happily let her go because he realized once he got her, like, man, this, or maybe he'd be mad or whatever, but
he can get another one, sure.
Right, but your thing is you're like, well, I recognize right off rip just by looking at her. She's too westernized for me. I'm here for the natural women, which, dude, I respect. I love that. That's what I get at. And when I'm in Colombia, that's what I holler at. They got their hair pulled back. They ain't got on no makeup. You know what I mean? They're sitting around just dressed regularly. That's what I gun for that. And that's game, brother. That you understand, like that's the trap over there. That sounds like their version of the thirst trap.
So again, game can help, but so let's talk about sort of this. We'll play numbers. I would assume, I don't know this, but I'm just going to throw out a wild guess. If a gameless guy goes over there, odds are if a woman's shooting her shot at him, she's someone who's not trying to finesse him out of all his money. It's more likely that she's looking for a husband than that she's looking for a payday. I don't know numbers, but I'm going to say for the sake of argument, there's a 2/3 chance she's looking for a relationship and a 1/3 chance she's just trying to empty your pocket. So for the most part, you start to feel like you're generally going to be safe. Now, here's what starts to happen. And here's where things, I guess you would say people start to develop game, although I would say they probably start to develop an appreciation for what they have. The women over there culturally are different. You get into a relationship with a good woman over there, you start to realize that you didn't really understand what a supportive, feminine woman really looked like because you never saw it before. There are things like if I'm talking about Lynn would probably say that if I asked her to rate herself, she would probably rate herself a 4, which I think is funny. I'm like, if I brought you to the States, you're not a 4. Maybe if somebody's really, really critical of you, they'd call you a 5. But even there, they're just saying, well, you put a little meat on your bones, so you're not so skinny. you're going to level up to like a 6 or a 7 easily. And where she really wins is on her attitude and her perspective. They start talking to her, and it's like, oh, you got like a 10 attitude. I had no clue. When you've got someone like that around who's just suddenly helpful and suddenly fun to be around, and there's no fighting over the reins, they literally like slot themselves right in as your support network, and you're not used to that, you start thinking, oh, I've never really had something like this before. I've had to fight to build something like this, but I've never had someone who just like slots themselves into my life like this. This is kind of weird. And that's where you start looking and you see someone who's a baddie and you're like, well, yeah, you look a little better than her, but I don't think it's possible for you to have a better attitude than her. There's just no way. And I'm not trading up on looks a little bit if I got to trade down on attitude, because this is way too valuable to give up. You just can't do it. Like an example, we were doing a day trip, going out to visit the Chocolate Hills and see a whole lot of other things in Bohol. And I looked on the websites, found all this travel information on how to do the trip, booked the whole thing. Took a nap, got up. And when I got up, Lynn was saying, hey, for this trip to Bohol, I looked at some alternatives for how we can get there. Here's a different way we could go. Here's a different boat. Here's a different bus. We actually shave a lot of time off the trip. It's cheaper. It's faster. What do you think? She didn't have to do any of that. She just decided, you know what? I think it would be helpful. I think he would appreciate me actually saving him some time and some money on this trip. So let me just do it to be nice. That's the kind of stuff she does normally. That's the stuff she's wired to do normally. When she was coming to visit, one of the first things she asked as she was getting ready to leave and come by my place was, are you in a room that has a kitchen? Because if you are, I want to cook something for you. It's not, do you like to cook? Do you want to cook? She's thinking, I want to show off my cooking to you because I'm coming into this trying to give and give and give so that you can appreciate who I am. When you're coming from a world where you feel like everyone you're talking to is trying to take and take and take, it's very strange to be interacting with someone who is so giving, who is so supportive. And I understand why guys who are in the West can say, can look at it and feel like it's weird because you just don't see it here.
Right. When you have a lot of, it makes them think like this ain't real.
Yes.
She set me up.
You feel like somebody's going to come out with a candid camera and say, I got you. You've been catfished. But that's the culture over there. It's a whole country that's wired that way. And until you see it, like as your debate, like I get your debate because you're here. You go to Cebu and you come back and you're going to have a very different song you're singing about what it's like after you've been there for 2 weeks.
I won't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Let me jump on this. G Complex, man. It was like, y'all ever see Zoom to Thailand content? He talks about this from Pattaya. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Pattaya. I think. So here's the thing. Just did a reaction to one of his videos this morning. So it's funny.
Richie Mack.
So funny. Wonderful 34s in the building. What's good, fam? Thanks for coming through, man. Thank you so much, brother. And listen, everyone who donates and who likes and shares, man, thank y'all. Wonderful 34, real one, day one, always hitting up the Cash App. Man, thank you so much, bro. I can't thank you enough. I'm almost ready to go ahead and buy a couple. I've priced the mics I need, those wireless clip-on mics. Rode makes them. You guys have seen them on other platforms. I'm going to get a pair, maybe 2 pairs of those. And I'm going to call on my wonderful mics because it was Wonderful 34 who's really giving me, the investment for that. And Brother Penny, if you can tell she wanted the monkey branch over to you, then you have game. DL Saint is right. And that's what I'm saying, bro. You don't like the term game, man. Let's call it understanding or whatever, but you just don't like the word game. But
it's different than, it's not, okay. Separate me from the other guy. Let's say for the sake of argument, I have game. I could see that she was trying to monkey branch.
Because you do, but okay, go ahead.
Does my cousin need that? No, because he gets himself a nice Panay who's suddenly supportive, and he's going to start to realize, I got something special here. Yeah, I see you over there, but I don't want to trade what I have for you because I don't know that you're worth it.
But here's where the game comes into play. Not to cut you
Okay.
off, but I want to jump in here real quick. If you saw her sitting there, westernized like that,
Yeah.
you wouldn't even approach her,
No.
right? But your people probably would and be happy. Now here's the
Day
thing, like you
one.
said, the finesse won't hurt as much
Yes.
when it goes bad. So you got that. But the fact is, without game, he's probably going to get finesse, even if it's just a little bit in the Philippines.
Maybe if he's there for a couple of days. But I'm going to say that if he's there, spend a week there. I already know. If I was there and I wasn't with Lynn, I'd have been at Foot Locker like, nope, I'm right here. We're going to see what's going on. If she's got a bad attitude, okay, well, we'll deal with that. But yeah, that would have been stop number one.
No, you'd have been at Foot Locker and that little food hut. Yeah, both them little youngies. You know what I'm saying? Because that's your game would have been kicking in. You'd have been like, oh, I'm gamed up. You'd have been giving it. But all it is trying to figure out what you want.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
You'd be like, well, let me make sure that's too young. And after about a night or so, like, yeah, that is too young. But, thanks for playing. High five.
Got a sample.
Got a sample. Okay, yeah, you don't know it. That's why you got to go to the smorgasbord, man. You got to try it all out. Maybe let me get a little taste of this right here. That's too good. I ain't right. You can get this over here. But the reason I say that, I get what you're saying, but two things. First, and I think I've told this story on this platform before. I was in Aruba and I met some women from Colombia. This is before I would begin to go to Colombia. In fact, the reason I go to Medellin to this day is because these women told me to go, right? She's like, I know you're into Latinas and, if Colombia has very beautiful women, but the most beautiful women in Colombia are in Medellin. Her and her friends told us this, right? So we linked up with these women. And it's to your point, how they were, women in their feminine can't help but be in their feminine, right? So me and my buddy linked up with her and her girl. Two beautiful women. We are spending the, couple days together. And at one point, we're like, you know what? We randomly just wanted to hit the beach. Like we're gonna hit the beach and we're gonna do some water stuff, like get on a boat, do some other stuff. And they didn't have their bathing suits. So I was like, yo, we're at the hotel. I'm like, well, let's just took them into the gift shop or whatever. Let's just buy you some bathing suits, right? Americans, here's one. They're looking at prices and they're looking at stuff and they're like, no, we don't want to buy anything in here. Can you get us a cab? This is before Uber. Get us a cab. And she took us to where the locals shop. Mm-hmm. And then we went and then, so we were looking at American prices for these bathing suits, man, probably like 40, 50, 60 bucks because we were in the hotel. Versus going down to the local spot. And for $60, we could have bought they were like $10, $12 each at the local joint. And right then I knew, I was like, man, she wasn't paying and she knew that we didn't care. Same thing with food. It was time to go eat. She knew that we didn't care, but she was like, no, let's go over here. We can get some local food. And she was helping us get into the culture. And like you said, she was very supportive. And it wasn't, she wasn't sitting back trying to be whatever, be lazy with a little drink or whatever. She was going to get, man, I'm thinking about, I want another pina colada. She'd jump up and go get it. Hey, baby, where you going? No, they going to come out. Wait till the waitress come. No, I get it for you now. That blew my mind. That absolutely blew my mind. And I'm like, yo, coming out of America. Now, I'm old enough to remember when American women were like that, especially black women. I'm old enough to remember when the American South, women were very feminine and they were proud to be feminine. So for someone like me, it's not as shocking. But when I talk to my younger counterparts, you're right, they've never seen it. You know what I mean? Guys in their 30s and 40s, man, they read stories. To them, it's like a magic trick. You know what I mean? She's actually going to bring me some food. She actually cooked it. You know what I mean? It's like, ta-da. And it blows their mind. So it wouldn't shock me as much as it's shocking all the other people, but it is what it is.
Think about how much of a culture shock it might be for somebody who grows up in New York to go to kind of that old Southern environment and to see the women there. It's going to be huge because it's not what they're used to. That same degree, that same magnitude of difference is what you can take somebody from the old South and expose them to if they go to Cebu today. Like, no, you think your women are feminine. Let me show you what feminine and cooperative looks like. Lynn did something, and it really brought to light just how different culturally they are. Sometimes, I'm sure every guy in this chat can relate to. You're walking down the street with a woman, and she wants you to walk street side because she wants to feel safe and protected from any danger. That's where
away from the curb, away from the curb. Dudes should be on the curb, and the women should be away from the curb.
So I live in a very safe neighborhood. I don't really think about that. I've been on a couple of dates where where the woman wasn't away from the curb. Just it wasn't that I just wasn't thinking about it. We were just walking down the street. And they'll kind of say, oh, wait, I like for the guy to walk on the street side so that I'm away from the danger. They make a point of saying, hey, I like when guys do this, which is kind of a little bit of a ding. It's not huge, but it's a little bit of a ding, like you're not doing your job. Lynn is like that, and I didn't even realize it. We were walking down this alleyway going to the coffee shop. And in the middle of our conversation, she just casually slides over so she's away from the street. Doesn't say anything, doesn't make a big deal. There's no break in the conversation. I just realized, oh, she likes for me to be on the curb. She wants to be away from the danger. She didn't make a big deal about this at all. In fact, she went out of her way to make sure that this didn't interrupt anything at all. Her goal is to maintain a peaceful environment. She goes out of her way to maintain a peaceful environment. And it's very strange when I'm used to living over here where you think, oh, this is going to be a discussion. That's going to be a debate. We're going to have to work this out. Like, no, she's behind the scenes working through things so that when she and I talk, she's already kind of figured out a solution that maintains the peace. You're like, what is this? I'm not used to this level of cooperation. I have not seen this before. I didn't know to look for something like this. This is kind of blowing my mind.
To say that's what's up. And I've seen that growing up again, but I'm an old dude. Shout out to Brother Rook with the $100 super chat, man. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Get your lapel mic, man. Rook, thank you so much, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother, y'all. Like, me and Rook been through so much. Can't tell you the majority of our stories, but trust and believe we got some good ones. Yo, Rook, zip, baby. Zip. I'm gonna leave it right there, y'all. I know y'all want to know what that means. Maybe we'll start a Patreon, and Rook and I'll do a joint Patreon. We'll start some sort of paywall. Once you get behind the wall, you find out what zip means. I guarantee you, Rook is laughing out loud right now. Sister Candace, shout out to Rook for the big sort of support. Yes, sir. Also, Don DeMarco to Wonderful 34 with the Cash App. Thank you, brother. You always on time, brother, for sure. Like, you my guy, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate the financial support, but more importantly, I appreciate the fact that y'all are here, man. Just the fact that we are here, you know what I mean? We are fellowshipping together as a community. Look what YouTube allowed us to build, man. It allowed us to have this conversation and maybe help some folks out there, bro. Because this is all people are talking about, man. This relationship thing has gotten out of control. And Brother Gene, you let me know how you think about this, but I think it all boils down to a culture thing. I think it's culturally, America is becoming bankrupt, man. It's like, what are we teaching our kids? I was raised and I was taught to keep the women away from the curb. In fact, in the hood where I grew up, if a man and woman are walking together and a woman's on the curb, that means she's being advertised, and i.e. he the pimp, she the product. Okay. So it was very disrespectful to have your woman on the curb when you're walking down the street, right? So that was how we were taught coming up. And then others would say, well, it's not necessarily that, but it's, you want to be able to protect your woman. If that car was to come, you see the car coming, you can at least shove her out the way. Like, but I'm gonna die. And they were like, you're supposed to die. You the man. I'm getting love from my fam, bro. Shout out to Howie in the building. Y'all don't know who Howie is, but that's my guy. You know what I mean? And let's just put it this way. I would not have had a career in air traffic control if it weren't for my man, Howie. Yo, for real. Million thank yous, brother. I'm so glad you're here, man. You know what I mean? Howie's always supported me. The very first time I ever did stand-up comedy, after I did the show, I called him. Very first time. You know what I mean? So it's good to see your family coming out and supporting you. Brother Ted's in the house, bro. What's good, fam? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. And you're like, man, I wish I would have caught this from the beginning. As go team replay, man. It's definitely gonna be there. Definitely win for Rook. W stream. You know what I mean? W for Howie. Man, one day I'm gonna have a talk and really. I want to talk about friendships. I want to talk about brotherhoods, like true brotherhoods. I want to talk about family. There's the family we're born into, and there's the family we create. Mm-hmm. And one day I'm going to have that discussion, man, because I am so grateful for those that I have met in my travels. You know, those who are still here, those that we have lost, you know what I mean? And, you know, I want to have that conversation one day, man, because, I mean, there's no better feeling, bro. There's no better feeling than that. You know what I mean? But today we're talking about game, right? Yes. And Brother Gene over here gamed up, but he don't want to mention it, y'all. No, he in denial, bro. Right. He in denial, bro.
It's different. I'm saying you don't need game. That's you may have it. If you're in the Philippines, you don't need it. If you want, I mean, you were talking about relationships and the problem. My take on relationships and the problems, there's a deeper issue, and we've kind of gone past the point of no return, but it is what it is. You go back to, and I do agree with this, I think it all boils down to the introduction of no-fault divorce. Once there was no-fault divorce, marriages fell apart because now you don't have to work at it if there's a problem. You can just bounce out and go look for the next thing. And as marriages started to fall apart, they became less appealing. And what replaced it? Well, dating. But what does dating become if you don't need marriage? Well, now you're not looking for partners. You're not looking for spouses. You're looking for sexual partners. And everything starts to go to pot. Guys are going to sleep around. So a woman who's a 5, she's not going to get wifed up by a guy who's a 9. She can sleep with him. He'll smash. Women don't understand. Women don't fully understand men's dating strategies. Men don't fully understand women's dating strategies. But here's one thing that does become clear. If a woman's sleeping with a guy who's a 9, she suddenly starts to think that she's more on his level. He was willing to sleep with me. It's like, yeah, that's not really how it works. But now you're a 5. You're looking for 9s when you should be looking for 5s. Guys who are 5s can't get with you because, you're aspiring to too much. They're aspiring to too much. Everybody's sitting at home frustrated because they can't get someone who they think is on their level. And what it fundamentally comes down to is we're not looking for spouses anymore. We're looking for sex partners, and the whole thing is a mess. Part of the reason that, and I'll go back to Cebu. I will touch on this. Part of the reason why I love Cebu, it's an area where people are still looking for spouses. Now, is Cebu going to fall? Yeah, it'll fall. I did not visit Manila. Part of the reason I didn't visit Manila was because I found out Manila's becoming kind of Western. Number one, they've got a lot more tourists. So if I go to Manila, I might see tons of black folks. I didn't want that. I wanted to be special. I wanted to be the black guy in the mall so that all eyes were on me. It's like, yeah, I cornered this market. I wanted that. I didn't feel like I was necessarily going to get as much of that in Manila. I got all of that I could handle in Cebu, all and more. I had guys who were like little kids who they'd get this big smile on their face when they'd see me walking by because they were just waiting to say, "What's up, bro?" Then I'm like, "You've been waiting to say that for months, haven't you? You finally saw a black dude and you got to say it." That's how special I was in Cebu. And I wanted that. And for a guy who's got zero game, you're black dude, zero game, but you're the only guy in the mall in Cebu, you might be a knucklehead and pick the one woman there who's just going to try to empty your pockets. But there are like 15 women there who are thinking, yeah, she'd husband you up. She'd be your wife. They don't mess around. They're looking for spouses and husbands, and they don't want hot girl summers. It's hard to mess that up. You don't really need game. You just need to not be stupid, and you can find success.
Man, that's what's up, bro. And that's those are words to live by, man, because, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. It is a cultural thing. We are America has transitioned to a place that, most of us don't recognize. They're talking about old folks. We just don't recognize it. And the young people just accept it. Sister Candace hits on it right here. Too many women conflate sexual attraction with relationship attraction. They are not the same. They're not.
Correct.
So many people are used to that getting it in and, city girls and this and that. And they're hurting themselves, bro. Say what you want about body count and all that. Like I said, man, I don't care. But it doesn't matter if you had a million women or a million men or 3 men. It doesn't matter. At some point, if you just keep having meaningless sex, it's going to affect you. That, and I do agree with that. If you just keep doing it, it's going to affect you. But boy, oh boy, and to what you were saying, bro, that's really a Don DeMarco. I don't even know why I didn't hit that. That's for you, bro.
I want to bring up something that's a tangent because it just starts to speak to how different that culture is from kind of the hookup, sexually liberated culture we have here. So, true story. Lynn does not own a bathing suit. She doesn't think it's decent to go outside in public in something that's skimpy. She has like this wetsuit that's cut down to like shorts. So, you can swim in it, but that's as comfortable as she is walking around out in public.
So she won't even have like a one-piece bathing suit on?
Nope. Too revealing. Wow. Do you hear anyone talk like that here?
No.
When I went whale shark diving, this was funny. There was one woman out there who had on a thong, and like everybody was staring at her, but not like staring at her like a hottie, staring at her like, what are you doing? And it was like this Australian woman, this white Australian woman and her husband and daughter. Everybody else, there were a lot of Filipinos, actually a lot of Koreans. Korea is there's a lot of tourism from Korea to the Philippines. So you're going to run into a lot of them there. I didn't realize it. People weren't dressing like that. That was bizarre to them. You go to a beach here, you're going to see thongs all over the place. The only thong was somebody who wasn't local. The culture is entirely different.
And you say Manila's already being westernized, because I do want to visit Manila, but I want to visit Manila for historic reasons. I want to see the historic sites. You know what I mean? I want to kind of like with the Battle of Manila during World War II, and I want to, some beaches, some places I want to go and visit. The spot where MacArthur's like, I shall return. The beach where he actually returned. I want to see that with Doug MacArthur jumped off the Higgins boat or whatever. I definitely want to I want to do that, but I would just spend a day or so, and then I would spend the rest of the time where you were, bro, because that's where you're gonna relax. What I mean? You're gonna get out there to where you were and just relax. And yeah, I can see you definitely gonna spend more money in Manila just because. I mean, it's the big city. It's always the case. Yeah, that's it. Wonderful 34, man. Bless the host. Now, bless you, man. Bless all y'all, man. I appreciate that. Brother Rook, we're either going to see a new lapel mic next episode or a new bottle of 20-year-old cognac in the background. It's going to be the mic, man. I don't want to buy any cognac yet. But I got to order that. So, and hopefully UPS, I'm about to get that order in pretty quick because it looks like UPS is going to go on strike. I got to follow that story up. And Brother Ted's like, this is very interesting. Hey, man, here's the thing, bro. When we talk about this relationship stuff, man, and we talk about, this manosphere stuff and all that, women aren't happy, men aren't happy. Mm-hmm. And we're just talking about the average folks. Who's happy in the game right now? The top tier guys and the top tier women. Those young girls, those girls in their young 20s, through their 20s, and the guys at the top, they killing the game. Everybody else does not like what's going on. So that's something that we can change as a society, guys. That's something, ladies, y'all can change it tomorrow. Why are you forcing average dudes to go to the far corners of the earth just so they can get an opportunity to be with a woman who is going to cook, who is going to love his company, who's not going to advertise her body? She's like, you know what? I'm not cool showing my body off. Hey, where you going to find that? You ain't going to find that here unless you're going to Amish country. You know what I mean? You ain't going to find that here. But that's something that we can change, but no one seems to want to make that change. Even though women don't like the way it's going right now, they're still going to go for those top tier guys and still get wrecked. And these dudes, these average dudes are still getting into relationship with women that they know don't really love, honor, respect, and cherish them. They get into the situation 7 years down the road, 10 years down the road, they get divorced, they get wrecked. And then we all know we know that story. And even the women who get these divorces, then they get there. Now they complain that they're lonely. You get divorced, you get all this money, you get the house, you get the kids, you get all this stuff. And now you're sitting around crying because you can't find anybody. It doesn't make sense to me, man. What's your take on that?
Okay, so I used to So if you go to my homepage, I used to have a video where I kind of got into part of an issue, part of the way that I see that phenomenon has changed. I'll sort of share it now because my homepage video has changed more to travel, but the issue remains the same. Feel free to disagree, but here's a thought. We were raised, this is not just America, this is around the world. We were raised to understand relationships based on fundamentally this kind of a story. A pretty woman who lives in relative obscurity meets a handsome prince. He finds her. He crawls over broken glass to win her heart. They fall in love. They live happily ever after.
He has to slay the dragon first, then they live happily ever after.
That was the broken glass. But yes, more specifically, he slays the dragon and proves himself to her. She accepts him. She's an obscure maiden. He's a prince. She accepts him, and they go off and live happily ever after. That's a story we were told as children. Prior to dating apps and the internet, reality started to kick in for women. You're going to your high school prom, you're going to events, and the guy who's the captain of the football team isn't picking you to be his prom queen, he's picking somebody else. Suddenly the realization comes in, oh wait, I'm not the princess in the story. I'm somebody else. I'm a regular person. I can't keep expecting the top tier prince to come after me. But what happened? Internet, dating apps. All of a sudden, women who were looking for the prince and they didn't find him. Ooh, I've got all these new princes I can go after. And I deserve a prince because I'm a 10. I speak on this. This is a big problem that we face. Women, this is not to rag on women, but this is just a reality of what you see. You have a lot of women who will say that they are 10s. I'm a 10, I'm a 10, I'm a 10. And every guy on the planet is looking at them and saying, no, you're not. I'm not saying you're ugly, but you are not a 10. When they're saying they're 10s, they're not so much saying I look like a 10. What they're kind of saying is I deserve a man who's a 10. I'm saying I'm a 10 because that's what I deserve. And they can't say anything less because the drop from a 10 to a 9, that's bigger than the drop from a 9 to a 5. A 10 is perfect. A 9 is not perfect. Like,
so I'm with you. And I like where you're going with this because I've often asked myself, like, why are these women saying they're 10s? Every woman you talk to on these, these channels, these YouTube channels or whatever, they say they're 10s. You're saying they understand if they're less than a 10, then they don't qualify for the 10, the prince that they say that they deserve.
That is exactly the issue. And they feel like they deserve. If you deserve it, you don't have to work for it. What happens in a world where everybody's given a participation prize? I deserve my reward. I shouldn't have to work for it. So you've got a world of people who are going after 10s and feel like there are tons of 10s available to them, but they don't really see the whole map. I can go to Times Square. I can sit in the middle of Times Square. I can find a dozen women who are 10s. 10 out of 10 should be models. And I can say, look how many there are. Surely I'm going to get one of these women. But what I'm not looking at is the fact that there are a whole bunch of 10s, guys that they're looking at in Times Square, so they're not looking at me. Behind that army of 10s, there are 2 more battalions of 9s, and then 8s, and then there's all kinds of stuff that they're looking at besides me. People don't see that. They just see all these 10s and think it's a numbers game and they've got a shot and that they deserve it. One of the things I do like about like guys who are passport bros, the guys who are passport bros are saying, you know what? I got to go work. I got to do something. I got to go earn this. I want something better. I'm going to take some action to make it happen. I'm not going to just sit here and complain. Deserve is killing us. But in today's world of easy likes and easy access and all this attention, everybody thinks they deserve.
Yeah, when I hear deserve, man, I think of Unforgiven in Clint Eastwood's character. He's like, deserves got nothing to do with it. And he blows the dude's face off. I mean, it's just, it's one of those things. That's life. And when you talk about this, I argue that the programming is more pronounced in men with respect to the Disney fairy tale. It's a program that's in there. It's a sleeper program. And it turns on when you meet some woman that you think is cool. This is the one. Blink, that program turns on. Right. And it's kind of like you were a sleeper Cylon, and all of a sudden you've been You've been turned on, and it's like, I gotta be the prince for this.
Yes.
This, she's my princess. And I tell dudes, man, you gotta fight that, man, with every ounce you got in your body, man. Life of Cash is in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you. He's like, yeah, women 10, 10, 10 manifest. Absolutely. Sister Candace, she was like, life isn't a Cracker Jack box. And then she goes on to say, I'm showing my age with that one. Yeah, sis, you sure, Lord. But it's all good. We up in here, you know, old folks. So what's the answer, bro? Because I agree with everything you just said. Now, if we were to say this to women, I'm pretty sure some women would get triggered, some. But what would you say the answer is?
Well, and this is why I say we've gone past the point of no return. There's no real coming back from where we are. I don't talk to women about what they should do because my take is this. Like, if you want to chase 10s, go right ahead. If you land one, great. If you don't complain to me. That's on you. Chase what you want and you see what your results are. But what I do say to guys, I'm like, okay, fellas, I can relate to your struggle. If you want a woman, if you want a real relationship with a woman who's nice to look at, nice to talk to, who will be supportive, have your kids, who you can be less concerned is going to divorce you, basically who checks all of your boxes, then if you're complaining, it means that you just haven't traveled yet. I don't think you can go to Cebu and spend 2 weeks there and come back saying there aren't any good women. You just didn't see them, because I've been there and they were all over the place. I was with a good woman and I was still surrounded by good women. Well, I was still surrounded by women who were in some situations trying to shoot their shot in spite of who I was with, because not that many guys like me walking around over there. You want to be a Chad? If you're a Chad, who is it? Leonardo DiCaprio. He trades from hottie to hottie to hottie because he can, because he's got that level of status. I'm not Leo DiCaprio when I'm over in Cebu, but I'm a whole lot closer to being Leo DiCaprio than I am to just being regular old Gene when I'm over there. Because over there, I'm rich and I'm rare and I'm tall and I am checking all kinds of boxes. And if you don't know what that feels like, get on a plane, get over to Cebu and see what it's like for yourself.
And I will say this, and that was fire, by the way, bro. I will say this. When you take a trip like Brother Gene did, or if you go, you know, like if you travel like I travel, and you have yourself a good, you know, you have yourself a good trip, you meet someone, right? We can all tell that Brother Gene met somebody, right? He's happy, right? You get back to America. Man, you want to talk about attitude? If you want to know what it's like to be the hot blonde or a hot Latina or the hot sister, go take a trip somewhere and come back. Your attitude is going to be stupid, bro. Like you will absolutely refuse to engage with just about any woman you meet. If she's anything at all that you don't like, you go and walk away. But you're not going to be mean about it. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. Because in your mind, you know, like, I already got something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a matter of time before I get back to her. And it changes the way you rock. And I tell people, I like, look, if you really want to get gamed up, if you're really trying to get out here and you want to have, you know, runs plates and all that kind of stuff, run a rotation, you got to go do that. You got to go overseas and get what you think is the best woman you've ever seen. Holler at her, you see that she's really into you. You come back to America, bro, you ain't going to care about any of these women you run into over here. Not one. And if you want to go out there and let them get what they think they can get, bro, you're going to find yourself out there running a rotation. But most guys don't want to run a rotation. I want to say that one more time, man, so y'all really hear me. Most men in America, the bottom 80 dudes, the invisible men of America, they don't want multiple women. They just want one. They just want one, guys. So
that's true.
Man, let's wrap. Oh, go ahead, bro.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, because I was gonna say let's wrap it up, man. Because here's the thing, bro. You got game, man. You just don't, you know what I mean? You gamed up, bro.
But I don't need it over there.
I
don't need it.
Wouldn't you agree that it's best to have game and not need it than find yourself in a situation where you need game and don't have it?
Having it's better than not having it, for sure. But to the question of do you need it to find what you want in the Philippines? Nope. All you need to do is go to Ayala Mall, stand in the middle of the mall, and ask somebody where the shoe store is. you'll be amazed at what that can turn into.
All right. Oh, I ain't mad at you. Like I said, we on the same page, so you need game. Gentlemen, y'all heard it here
I
first.
need no. I did not.
No. I'm not talking about there. I'm not talking about there.
Okay.
In general, it's best to have game. Game is needed in life.
Better to have it than not.
Better to have it than not have it at all. Because I was gonna put it to a vote in the chat. Like, well, you know how many people think you should have game, and how many people think you don't need it. But we're in agreement that you have to have game. You must be aware of what's going on, no matter what you're into. I don't care if it's politics. I don't care if it's sports. I don't care if it's womanizing. I don't care what it is. You got to be gamed up in whatever it is whatever you're trying to get into.
Game helps, but if you are looking for a girlfriend and you got zero game, go to the Philippines. Go to Cebu. You'll be fine.
Yeah, go to Cebu, because if you go to Manila, you're definitely gonna need game.
Manila's, yeah, I'm specific to Cebu, and Manila's. Well, I mean, for perspective, your worst scenarios in the Philippines are actually still better than your general scenarios in the States.
And you say that's anywhere in the Philippines.
Yeah, you can look at, like, everybody's familiar with the stat. Divorce rate in the States is 50%. Everybody kind of understands that. The divorce rate, if you get a woman from the Philippines and you bring her back to the States, you hear all these people saying they just want green cards, all this stuff. The divorce rate is 30%. Meaning you go get a random Filipina, you bring her back, there's a higher likelihood that relationship is going to work than if you married somebody from the States. That's just basic stats. So, yeah, whatever you think you need here, you don't need as much of it over there, because you're starting off in a better place. You're starting off way more successful.
Yeah, that's what's up. And then again, y'all, I like to always bring this up. 50% of marriages in America end in divorce. It does not mean that the other 50% ride off into the sunset happily ever after. They don't. Of that 50% that don't get divorced, right, there is a number of people who actually stay married because they love each other. And then there's a number of people who stay married because they don't want to go through the divorce.
About 25%.
You say 25%? So that's split in half.
75% of married, I forget what the study was. Like 75% had said we're happily married. 25% didn't. So of the ones who are still together, about 25% are not in it because they're happy about it. They're stuck.
Wow. And I thought the number would have been higher. I thought it would have been flip-flop, to be honest with you, but that's still.
Yeah, I don't know how many of them were on it. Maybe their wife was standing next to them. They're like, oh, I'm going to say yes, but not really. I didn't get into the methodology, but it's like, okay, 25% of married couples aren't happy.
So when you throw that onto the 50% who get divorced, that's 75. So you got a 25% chance of being successful in America if you get married. Is my math correct on that?
Closer to like 1/3. So you take that 25, cut it in half, call it 13. Now you're 63% of marriages fail, either because somebody got divorced or because they're sitting there stuck in a marriage and not happy about
it. Damn. So, and of course, if you go someplace like the Philippines, those numbers are out the window. You're looking at the polar opposite of that, whereas you're probably going to be successful if that is in fact what you truly want. And I would argue that most men do want to stay married. Why? Because most women file for divorce, men don't. So, wow, bro. So in closing, before we close out, G Complex wants to know the best time of the year to visit the Philippines.
I would really change. So here's what I would do. This is just me, because there's so many different things in the Philippines that whenever you go, there are going to be different things that you can enjoy. I would really focus my time on when can I get the best flight deals, because Philippines, it's warm, it's comfortable. You see my background. I'm out there. This is the off season. I'm out there diving. I'm having a blast. And this was not the quote unquote tourist season, which I think is like fourth quarter, September, October, November, December. If I remember right, that's the popular time. I went to the Chocolate Hills. I went there when it was lush and the Chocolate Hills were green. They weren't brown and chocolatey, but I didn't care. I just wanted to go see them. So you can do all of that, but you don't really have to. If I could get a cheap flight deal to the Philippines in July, I'll just go in July. You can't miss. You literally can't miss. You have to go to see it, but once you're there, you'll understand. You can't miss whenever you go.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. That's good to know. And and people I know, like, whale sharks don't eat folks. They eat
They
plankton
don't.
and all that. Yeah, they don't eat folks. But I do. I know you've seen the video of the guy who was a scuba diver. He spins around and there's a whale shark with his mouth open. It was just eating, just feeding, and he just saw this big whale shark coming. And you can see the guy, like, all the bubbles coming up, like, whoa.
I've got to admit, I mean, when I was diving, these things are the ones that I saw, and these aren't the biggest. These were like 30 feet long. It makes an impression to be underwater looking up at something swimming over you that's 30 feet long and wider than you. I'm like, wow, this is an image that I am never going to forget.
Yeah, bro. I stay out of that ecosystem, man. I like to be the apex predator. You jump into the ocean. Nah, bro.
I got to have some adventure.
Boy,
but what I will say is those things are a lot faster than you would realize, because 1 second you see a whale shark and it's 40 yards away, and you kind of look away and you look back and it's right up on you. Like, wow, how'd this thing get here so fast? And they're not making a lot of noise. They're just kind of chomping on this tuna that they're feeding. Yeah, they're fast, and you can get kind of stuck. They're also really hard. I accidentally kicked one because it swam up on me. It wasn't like kicking a catfish. Now, this was like kicking a brick wall. Those things are hard. But they're not going to eat you. Look, I just did it. I swam all around. I was swimming under them, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm still here. Give it a shot. It's even cheap. It was like $10 for a 30-minute dive.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the water because my luck, I'm looking at the whale sharks and then I look off and see, oh, there's a great white. Now he's looking for me to eat. Ain't no getting away. Yeah, ain't no getting away from that dude. You know what I mean? Or see a hammerhead or something like that coming at you, bro. I don't like messing around in that ecosystem, man. But it is, or ecosystem, I should say. But it is what it is. G Complex is like damn small ones with 30 footers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He's like Jaws was a 25 footer, exactly, bro. So it is what it is. Man, this was a great conversation, man. You got anything you want to say? Final thoughts or anything like that?
I guess the one thing I'll say, like last time, I gave more of a larger outro, trying to help people understand the benefits of travel. I'm going to change my approach for this. There are two kinds of single men in America today who are unhappy. Basically, you're complaining about your situation, or you've been to Cebu. I want to see somebody go to Cebu and see what's up, spend 2 weeks over there, and come back complaining about there aren't any good women. I dare anybody to go over there and put in 2 weeks and come back and say, you couldn't find it over there. I don't care how much finesse, game, looks, what I don't care. If you can afford to get over there, if you got the wherewithal to schedule 2 weeks over there, you're going to come back and you're going to be impressed by what you see. I don't know how you can miss. I was over there with someone, and it was obvious to me that my cousin in Cebu would be a prince. So you can too. And I just want to encourage guys, go take a look. What's it going to hurt? It's 2 weeks out of your life for something that might change your life for the better for the rest of your life. I think that's worth it.
And that's what's up. And it sounds like the biggest expense is going to be your airfare over and back. So, if you can go out there and hustle up a little bit of money, man, get you an Uber or some little side job or whatever, go down to the car wash cars for, tips or whatever, put that money away, treat yourself to 2 weeks over there. Brother Gene, last good man in Jersey, man, I just want to thank you for coming through, man. It's always a pleasure to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
You always be breaking it down. You get a horn shot, of course. So yeah, I'm just gonna drop you down. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna drop you down, close out, and then I got a couple things I want to say to you before you go, man. So thanks for coming through, man. I really appreciate you, man. And everybody in the chat, make sure y'all go over and support the last good man in Jersey. His link is in the chat over there. It's in the description, man. So I'm gonna holler at you in a little bit, bro. So all I want to do is say this. First of all, again, thanks to Brother Gene, the last good man in Jersey, for coming over here and giving us his perspective. A lot of people are going to say what they're going to say or whatever. They're going to talk a little bit of craziness or whatever. But he just made a challenge to all you would-be top G's out there. He just made you a challenge. You say, hey, why don't you go over there and see it for yourself and then come back and let's holler. I say you take him up on that. Go get your passport, go over there and see what it's like and come back to America. Now, a lot of people's like, man, y'all beating up on American women, this and that. Y'all saying they ain't nothing. I'm not saying that. There are some good women in America left. There are some. Most of those women are already in relationships. You know, smart men have already taken them off the market. There are still modest women out there who not about showing their bodies. There are women out there who don't wear a lot of makeup. There are women out there who love just the small things in life and will look out for their man. They want some dude that's gonna keep it real, keep it 100. You can find them in America. The thing is this: it takes a lot of work to find her. And I think the argument is it doesn't take as much work to find her abroad. And I think that's what the argument is. I hope it becomes easier in America, but it hasn't to this point. It's only getting harder. You know what I mean? Technology has made it to where, like Brother Gene said, she's going to find her prince, and she has the entire planet. Everyone on Instagram is her potential prince, and she is not going to be happy until she tries all of them. And where does that leave you? Right? She's a 5 looking for a prince. She's only looking at 10. She thinks she's a 10, and you're a 5 across the aisle waiting for her to finish this quest that she's never going to finish. Right? So, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Thank y'all so much for rocking out with me. G Complex, Life of Cash, Brother Jose, Brother Howie, Brother Rook. Thank y'all so much. Wonderful 34, Tez, Sister Candace. You know what I mean? The OG in the chat. I'm always honored to have you in my chat rocking it out. Thank y'all so much for being here, bro. Brother Jose was in the Pitney Jules in the house. XFO was in the building. I hope someone learned. I hope you guys learned something here. Brother Chris Smoky Hat coming through, always checking out, rocking with a brother. I hope you guys, Brother Dinosaurs especially, I hope you guys learned something. I hope we were able to enlighten you in some way, shape, or form, because that's what the whole purpose of this is. Please continue to better yourself. Be the best person you can be, man or woman. You know what I mean? Let's get out here, man, and let's get it. Y'all know rough times are coming. So prepare yourself and be ready, y'all. Just be ready. That's all I got to say. Thanks for rocking out with me, man. I'm D.L. Saint. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast. Like Sister Candace with the fire emojis, Brother Life of Cash. You know what I mean? Appreciate all that. I'm D.L. Saint. This is the D.L. Saint I Really Want to Know podcast, man. We're done. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.
Darn, that's the end.